Welcome to the third and final session of our series, 3 Key Ingredients for a Successful Food and Beverage Supply Chain. Let's welcome Steve Dombroski, Director of Consumer Markets at QAD, and Ludovic Lezenven, Principal Business Consultant at QAD DynaSys. Hi Steve, hi Ludovic, how are you doing today?
Doing well, Dorothy. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, very well. Thank you, Dorothy.
So in the previous episodes, we discussed collaboration and then investigation. Today, we are going to talk about evaluation. So the question I would like to ask you today is, when does one avoid missing opportunities due to a lack of visibility across supply chains?
Well, thanks, Dorothy. I think I'll kick this one off. We've been discussing how food and beverage manufacturers need to have a strategy in place to keep their supply chain responsive to all the disruptions that's facing the industry today. In the previous two sessions, we covered a number of ingredients that we've been discussing, Ludovic and I, on how it impacts and what a company needs to really make your supply chain successful today. So the entire ecosystem needs to be operating in unison. The internal and external components of the entire value chain need to be part of the entire process at all times. We talked about how it's essential to collaborate with those in the process and how you need to investigate to get the right information. There's also so much data out there that you need to navigate through it, and you need to collaborate between these partners. So that's where the third ingredient, evaluation, comes into play. And that's what we're going to talk about a bit today. So data is changing in real time and the volume keeps increasing. There's so much data out there to provide manufacturers an opportunity to learn from this data. As they say, knowledge is power. To make the best use of this data, however, you need to evaluate and go through it all. And that's a key component to ensure that the best information is available for you to make informed decisions at all times. So to effectively perform the evaluation process, there are a number of technologies that can be employed to accomplish this task. Next generation supply chain analytics, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence. These are opportunities for organizations to inform their business models and transform their business models using connected solutions. And that's the key to operating in unison and to be a nimble supply chain today. So to achieve this agility, you need the ability to detect, analyze, and execute the best possible decisions, regardless of the sources of supply and demand. To reach this goal through the enterprise, you need end-to-end visibility. And that's what we've been speaking about for the last two sessions. And this requires accurate data and the right tools to evaluate that data. In our previous discussions, we looked at other components of our ingredients through different perspectives. The three key links in the supply chain. So the customers, or the distribution piece, the manufacturing operations piece, and the procurement or the supplier component. So we're going to do the same today. I'm going to introduce these concepts, talk about how evaluation works in those three areas, and then Ludovic's going to take you through some of the tools and some of the ways to employ those to really get through the evaluation ingredient, so to speak, of this process. So getting the right product at the right place at the right time. If you've listened to the previous two sessions, you've heard me say this over and over again. After food safety and food integrity, this is the #1 goal of manufacturing. You're in a low margin business. You have to satisfy your customers' needs. The trick, though, is to do this over and over again while maximizing those margins. And we need to remember that the food manufacturer's customers are not the end of the value chain. They have customers as well. So when we talk about data, we not only need the information about the customers that you have, but you also need about their customers, which is the consumer. So today, there's enough technology out there with the right business intelligence tools to help quickly evaluate that critical data, such as point of sale data, consumer patterns, seasonal data, promotional data, and competitor data, just to name a few. EDI communication of this data to and from customers, as well as analyzing what's beyond them in the consumer realm, helps advance forecasting and demand sensing all the way through demand-driven MRP that can help make sense of all that data. So these are some critical steps that you need to look at especially when you're talking about evaluating what your customers are doing. Now, a manufacturing company can have world-class demand and distribution planning statistics, but if your operations aren't in sync and if they don't get that information, well, and they have poor planning processes and bad operational data, then your customer service is going to fail. Real-time manufacturing data that can be delivered in both directions of that supply chain is critical to delivering the right product to the right place at the right time. You know, we talk about disruptions. You know, lines go down, materials are late, ingredients are spoiled, orders change. These aren't really huge disruptions. This is part of the day-to-day business. So your communication and your information has to be collaborated, investigated, and evaluated to make sure that these decisions, especially in the operations piece, keep product moving through the factory floor and through the manufacturing process to be ready to be distributed when it has to be. And advanced planning and analytics can help evaluate your manufacturing data. Now, another repeated phrase that you've heard me say through this series is the reminder that suppliers are not only at the top of the stream of your supply chain, but they also have supply chains too. Sometimes we forget that. You know, we're operating in our day-to-day business and we say, well, this supplier is holding us up. You know, that this guy always does that. Well, it might not be this guy's fault. It might not be anybody's fault because they have a supply chain all the way upstream that you might not even be aware of. So we have to make sure that we have that information and we can evaluate those steps of the process to see if we can help in that process to help us. So we need that data, and data and information fueled by real-time communication and analysis is critical. It's very critical, it's essential. If this portion of the supply chain falters, obviously your entire downstream will falter as well. So actionable insights and the ability to quickly transform information into decisions to keep the supply chain moving is a critical need. So because the suppliers, again, are at the top of that stream, at times this information can be and is the most critical that you can have. So things like Internet of Things data, analytics, RSS feeds, qualitative analysis, these can assist you to quickly evaluate supplier information, supplier issues, and most importantly, supplier performance to determine alternate courses of actions that might be needed to keep your supply chain intact if some of those other supply chains upstream should fail. You know, it's really difficult, and we've discussed this over the previous two series of this session, or previous two sessions of this series, I should say. It's difficult to make decisions without information. The companies that have the right information, just like the product has to be at the right place, at the right time, in the right quantity, you need the right information at the right time. So you need to have this and evaluate this information because it's impossible to make decisions without accurate information. So that's why it's critical to evaluate this data thoroughly to make these informed decisions. Now, like I said, there are tools in place to do this today. And now I'm going to throw this back over to Ludovic, who's going to discuss some of those with us. So Ludovic, what do you have for us today?
Oh, thank you very much, Steve, for your insights. I've got many things today around the application, QED DynaSys, and our digital supply chain planning capabilities. We know that in current supply chain plans, we require much more today than just one version of a plan to make a decision effective, you know. Where 10 years ago, it was complex to get one full picture of a plan, it's common nowadays to evaluate 3, 4, 5 versions of a plan to be able to make effective decision. And how is this possible within keeping the same organization with so much information? What must a planning solution like we deliver should embed in to facilitate such what-if analysis? This is where QED DynaSys, our digital supply chain planning capabilities, may highlight some of the solutions. I will introduce scenario planning. I will go through financial planning a bit, and mainly the role also of a global planning organization to support those scenario and what-if analysis. That's really critical to be able to get through all those information in real time, as you mentioned, Steve. When those things are combined effectively, all the power of a complete supply chain planning solution reveals and supports all the power of any integrated planning process. And that's really important. It's not just due to one stuff, it's really everything together, as you mentioned also. So if I speak about scenario planning today in our solutions, being able to duplicate, modify, measure, compare, validate plans are the key components of what-if simulations. It also needs to be transversal to the entire organization. It means from demand to supply through distribution and manufacturing. This is understood in the context of rapid response required for food and beverage industries. I do remember one key fresh pizza private label manufacturer was dealing with very high promotion volumes at the time, and lack of capacity to resimulate rapidly and consistently a new promotion effect due to information coming from market that maybe the scope is going to change, generate a mass of scrap due to the fact that the volume and the scope has changed. They were able to produce too much of those pizza and not able to sell them. So they had to repack them under another label to be able to resell them, maybe at a lower price. So they lose a mass of money behind this effect of not being able to resimulate quickly a possible new plan according to the scope modification in a promotion. So that's really important because the volume are so huge in this business to be able to resimulate quickly and effectively what are the effect of one promotion globally. On the opposite side, when I see, remember, maybe I spoke about it during the first session about a chocolate manufacturer who has a fire in his plant. It's because he was able to simulate very quickly a new version of its plan that he has been able to quickly allocate inventory to serve a business with the current inventory he was carrying on other sites. And he was also able, in very few times, able to resimulate and reallocate all the production to all the other sites. All that linked to the scenario planning that we are able to deliver with digital supply chain planning capabilities. So that's really critical for your business. But if we go into measuring and evaluating those, we of course need also not just KPIs such as service level, scrap rate, inventory turns. All those are really supply and quantity driven KPIs. We need to go through some financial figures that are also critical, of course, for your business. And we need to do such KPIs such as revenue met, what revenue we are able to complete according to our capacity, according to our distribution site, or according to our suppliers, delivery, and so on. Of course, cost and margin enabled us in the multiple plan to compare things and to make decision effective. So that's really important things that nowadays an advanced solution planning is covering. But overall, an effective planning organization is really critical to go over that. It's all about what I've just introduced before. It's possible just if a global planning team is able to propose scenario combining demand planners and collaborators to build the correct vision of the market, supply planners, and all the team of the operational line to get information from distribution, manufacturing, and purchasing resources. All that is critical. And of course, get also the information of finance to be able to simulate price and revenue, cost and margin. All that is critical to play those scenarios. What I just described is what we call the S&OP manager. The S&OP manager is the one responsible to give to the executive team the right scenario when they have to make a decision. And that's a critical post, clearly. So with all that information, why take a chance? Please, Dorothy.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Steve. Thanks a lot, Ludovic, and many thanks everyone for attending.
No, thank you very much, Ludovic. That was really some insightful stuff for us. And I know you and we had a good time. We were talking about putting this stuff together. The times are changing, and who knows, next week we might need to add some more ingredients to our mix to keep things just like our customers. You know, they're always mixing things up and trying to improve their products, and that's what we're trying to do, is try to improve the assistance that we help our customers to achieve their goals. So so all you out there, thanks for joining us, and you never know, keep your eye out for a couple more tricks up our sleeves.
We will.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve. So yes, so far, this is the end of our series dedicated to your food and beverage supply chain, and we really hope you have enjoyed it. So if you would like to know more about QID DynaSys and our food and beverage references and expertise, or if you would like have any questions, please feel free to ask and to contact us. Take care and have a great day. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.